Welcome back to the Mike and Andrew Show. I'm Andrew Serwick here again with Mike Meredith. Mike, we had the NBA All-Star Game this weekend. Lots of things we should definitely discuss. We also got a few NFL things and an MLB thing to talk about in this episode. But Mike, how are you doing this evening, man? How's the weekend? Let's hear it.
Yeah, pretty good, man. Had a lot of big changes go on. It was a really busy weekend, and I'm going to be covering all of All Star Weekend. Just Saturday and Sunday, to be honest. Not much to say with the Rising Stars game. But yeah, I'll go over all of the events that took place Saturday, and of course the game on Sunday as well.
All right, well let's get into it. Do you want to get into the game first? Or do you want to go into the events on Saturday first? I mean, where do you
Let's
want to
do the
start here?
events
Okay,
because
okay, yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna be talking a lot about the game. So we'll go into the events. So this, of course, I mean, the first thing I want to ask you before I even get into anything, I mean, how was it being in Indy? Because I know you kind of mentioned that earlier on one of our earlier episodes. And was Indy packed? Was there a lot of people downtown? Like, how was it?
So I wasn't really out much this weekend, but Thursday I had to drive through downtown because I had to go meet my no Friday I had to go and meet my girlfriend downtown because she works downtown. Just on my way home, so I'd to go home, shower, just to go back over to her place. Anyways, later that evening, but it about I got off work at around 4:30. Went downtown to go meet her down there because I had to go give her something. And man, it was fucking packed. I mean, normal rush hour traffic in downtown Indy's terrible, but this was 10 times worse. I mean, I was sitting at a light for probably about 45 minutes, and I mean, it
Damn.
was terrible down there in terms of traffic. But the atmosphere, from what I could tell on Friday, was pretty lit. So I mean, um, outside of that, I don't really know how the atmosphere was because, like I said, that was my only little bit of downtown I was over All Star Weekend. But yeah, man, it was from what I could tell, the atmosphere was very very alive because I drove right past the stadium, the Gameridge Fieldhouse, and yeah, I mean there was people everywhere. Everyone was really happy. So yeah, it was just a very interesting atmosphere. But I'll tell you what, man, the traffic sucked ass.
I bet, man. Yeah, so with that, we'll get into the events here. So we had the skills challenge, which there were three teams. You had the All Stars, which was just a team of three All Stars. It was Trey Young, um, Scotty Barnes, and let me think, who else was on that team? So yeah, it was Trey Young, Scotty Barnes, and Tyrese Maxey. So those three were on a team. Then you had the first overall picks, which were Anthony Edwards, Victor Wembanyama, and Paolo Banchero. Then you had Team Indiana Pacers with Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin, and Miles Turner here. But of course, the hometown team uh, trying to show some love here. They went through three different events here. The first one was one where you do a little dribbling challenge and you go through and each person on the team goes and dribbles through, makes a floater, makes a three, and then makes a layup or a dunk. And man, some of those guys, man, like the one, it was Paulo Banquero. He literally saw the last guy on the last team mess up, and then he did the exact same thing. Like that was awful.
So
Yeah,
he
the rest of that
choked.
event, what?
I said, so he choked, is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically he choked. So yeah, um, yeah, the first, and then Anthony Edwards over here, he made like a joke that he was going to shoot with his left hand for the All Star weekend, and he actually did it for that event. And we're like just clowning him because he was just so bad. But so that one, um, the Pacers team ended up winning that one. Um, Terry Salburton, Benedict Matherin, and Miles Turner all had pretty good times there. They went on last as well um, for that first event there, and um, it was definitely an interesting start here. The next one they had to do was like a passing drill, passing challenge. Um, that one was also very interesting, as there was a lot of good aspects and a lot of bad aspects of that event here. A lot of good strategies and also a lot of different, really bad strategies that went on. Um, Overall, though, the team Pacers, man, they had that team chemistry, and they were locked in to get that one, man. So um, they did that again, and then the final event was a shooting one where you had to shoot from 5 different spots on the floor, and whoever made them, got the most points. Man, the first overall picks sucked in like every single event. It was just not fair. But in the end, Team Pacers ended up winning the all out of all the challenges they won in the end here, which was cool to see for Indy, it being an Indy. So that was definitely fire to see. But next year, we'll move into the actual things that people care about. The 3-point contest here. There was actually 2 3-point contests. I'll get into both of those. So the first one here, um, you had a whole bunch of different participants and a lot of people doing really well, and a lot of people also struggling as well. Um, I think that most people had Dame going in as the favorite. It was so weird because the how they do it is of the 8 players, the top 3 scores advanced to the next round, and all 3 of them got the same score. So then they had to do or it was actually 4 of them that got the same score. So then they had to do like a little tiebreaker, which was pretty funny to see who didn't move on. And then they did the final round. It was between Dame, Cat, and Trae Young. So yeah, you had Dame, Trae Young, and Cat in the finals here, and Dame ended up winning, which was pretty cool because Dame was defending his championship, so he's a back-to-back 3-point champion. And then they had the big contest that was hyped for the final weeks coming into the All-Star break with Steph versus Sabrina. So Steph, of course, known for being the best 3-point shooter and multiple 3-point contests he's been in. And Sabrina, she's a big WNBA star, and she broke the record for the highest scoring 3-point contest, men's or women's. So they had a 3-point contest. She shot from the NBA 3-point line, but she was still using the WNBA basketballs when doing her rounds, and she ended up getting 26. That seems like a common number all night. But Steph here, of course, I mean, me and my friend were like, yeah, I think Steph's going to win this. So Steph ended up pulling out the W here. It was intriguing because it took until the last rack for him to win it, and that's where he saved his money rack for. So I think they might come back with it next year or an iteration. They've talked about doing Steph and Dame versus Sabrina and Caitlin Clark, as they are really big stars right now, and that's something that, like I said, could be implemented to next year. And finally, here for Saturday night, we had the dunk contest, and man, it was so weird because it wasn't like that bad of a dunk contest. It just, some of the dunks, man, were just really weak. For the participants, you had Jaylen Brown, who it's weird because people who are actually all stars really never compete in the dunk contest. It's kind of like a thing now, like no star player competes in it, but he was in it. Jacob Toppin from the Knicks was in the dunk contest as well. His brother Obi Toppin was a winner a few years ago. Then you had Jaime Jaquez Jr. from the Miami Heat. He is a really solid player here. I think he's going to be a good rookie. One of the top 5 rookies this season. And then Mac McClung coming back to defend his championship, and came down to Jaylen Brown versus Mac McClung. And Jaylen Brown over here was jumping over Kai Cenat, man. Who, that's not, that ain't too impressive, man. And he tried to do like a this famous dunk that was done in the dunk contest. It's a D Brown dunk. It happened in the '90s where he kind of dabs midair, but he like totally sold that and did not get it. Mac had some really good dunks. Definitely had the best dunks of the night for sure, and he ended up taking home the title as he should. I was just really glad this year that they weren't giving out a lot of 50s, because I've noticed that in the past 2 to 3 years, man, they would give a 50 on like any dunk, man. So kind of glad for that. But some of the scoring, man, was so whack, man. Like, there was definitely like between 2 different dunks, you could definitely tell which one was better. But because the one guy did it on his second try, he got like a lower score. But they give you a minute and 30 seconds to do a dunk, and you get 3 tries. So it's like, if you're gonna penalize them for not doing it, then you might as well just give them one try and leave it at that. Because yeah, it's ridiculous, man. But Mac McClung ended up winning, and definitely rightfully so, because he had the best dunks. But yeah, man, dunk contest just doesn't hit the same as it did back even like 5 or 6 years ago, and definitely not as good as it was in the '80s.
Yeah,
Do
no,
you have any thoughts?
nowadays, man, yeah, like the dunk contest, just 5 or 6 years ago was actually somewhat fun to watch, but now it's just like to me, it's coming to start get it's starting to get to a point where it's basically people are just starting to run out of ideas for it. You see a lot of repeat copycat dunks from a few years ago that guys are doing just to have something different, but at the same time it's it's still, I mean, it's still my favorite competition over NBA All Star Weekend, because it's still very different from everything else. Um, and but yeah, no, I completely agree. The scoring on it's still very whack, and especially the last couple of years where like the most lame dunks would get 50s on it. So at least we didn't get that this year.
Yeah, for real. I don't. I think maybe one dunk by Mac McClung got a 50 across the board. But other than that, it was not looking too promising.
Yeah, so let's get into to the meat of this weekend on Sunday, man. Um, that was just embarrassing, I think, for the league. If I'm gonna be honest, I mean,
Dog. So yeah,
200 points. Yeah,
211 to 186. That's like 2K on rookie mode, man.
yeah,
That
that's
is just
ridiculous.
crazy. I mean, like,
Kobe would not stand for that.
Kobe would not stand for it, man. I saw so many people talking about all week how this should be a pickup game between the best players in the world. And I'm not saying they need to go 100%, like try on every single possession, because they don't even do that in the regular season or the playoffs. But at least make it somewhat competitive. At least try, because everyone that's defending, it's like, well, we don't want to see these players get injured. Well, it's like you could get injured on a regular season game number 65. Like, what does it matter if you got injured then or in the All-Star break? I mean, the games means the same at that point anyways. It's like, uh, what does it matter if you get injured? Like, don't get injured. Don't do something stupid to get yourself injured, um, or put yourself in a scenario. Uh, I mean, there's aspects and points where it's fun to watch. I know the deep threes are always fun to see go in and them shoot them. Those are definitely electrifying, but everything else just like no defense at all. Just Luka Doncic was absolutely awful. He did not even care at all. He was just doing a whole bunch of dumb shit all game. So, um, I think just getting away from that will be better for sure. Because yeah, that was not it, man. Damian Lillard ended up winning the MVP for this as well. So he won the 3-point contest and he won the MVP as well. So for the All Star game, but yeah, just I think I sent you a post about this like a month ago. The All Star game in 2010 was lower scoring than some of the regular season games nowadays. It's like that's how far we've come from no defense. No one's trying. Uh, it's crazy to see how much scores have run up. Even the 2016 Warriors, they were number one in offensive rating that year, and they said that they'd be 21st now in the league in offensive rating at the rate they were playing at. So points are just coming like crazy. And while I do think talent is at some of its highest points right now, there's so many talented players, and that's why I think expansion teams are on the rise as well, just because there's so much talent in the league now. But that ain't the reason why the scores are going up so much. Not just the offense, but just the lack of no defense. It's like there's not really any defensive minded players nowadays to where you don't see defensive specialists much at all anymore because they just don't need them.
Yeah, and it's a growing problem in the league. I mean, you go back 15, 20 years ago. I mean, the All Star game would have like it'd be like a 90 to 85 final score. I mean, and I get it. To a point, you don't really want to risk injury, but fans using that as an excuse for these players not trying it's a very sorry excuse in my honest opinion, because like if you look at like the NHL All Star Game for example, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be higher scoring, um, and guys aren't trying 100%, but they're still hitting each other. They're still playing at about. I mean, they're not playing 100%, but they're playing about 80-85%. You know, giving each other hard hits still. And I mean, hockey's obviously a much more violent sport than basketball. So saying, you know, using that excuse for I think the NHL would be a lot better than for the NBA. I get you don't want to have these players risk too much injury, but at least some effort in these All Star games would be, nice. But back to just the lack of defense, man. Just no one plays defense anymore, and it's become a sport where no one cares about the team result. It's starting to just become all about individual stats. That's the way I see this game being played now. Players don't really care about the team result; they more care about their individual stats each game and each season. And I think that plays a big role in the fact that no one plays defense anymore. They don't care about defense; they only care about what they can do offensively. Um, and I don't know if there's a fix to that, but I saw because he sent me a post on Instagram, comparing this year's All Star game with All Star games in the past, with players actually playing defense and taking the game seriously. Um, it's I saw someone in the comments say Adam Silver's ruined the league because he put such a focus on offensive play throughout the league that everyone just doesn't want to care about defense anymore. And I was like, you know what? He's not entirely wrong there. Um, but yeah, no, I don't know what we can do to fix the league to make defense important again. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Do you have any suggestions on that? Because I'd like to know, and if anyone out there wants to fucking tell us their suggestions, please let us know because we have to figure this out. Um, like me personally, I like low scoring defensive games because those are the games that are just really grindy, fun to watch. To me, but there's people are like, well, we need high scoring games like this in every single game. It's like, no, we need
No,
defense to be played. just yeah, I don't understand the the enjoyment
This
of
is
watching just people run
yeah.
up the score in every single game on
This
both
this
sides.
is the equivalent if NFL games started being like 40 points on a regular basis, like 45 to 40 or like yeah, like 45 to 38. Like that's what this is kind of equating to, or just it's so much points and not enough defense. Like I said, of course you don't want like a 50 to 60 score. Like that's too low, and you don't want like what we just had 200. The sweet spot is like anywhere between like 85 and like 115. Somewhere in there is where games should be finishing points wise.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Somewhere around 85, I'd say even 105 at the ceiling, but I could
Yeah.
115. Sure, I'll
Like
give
in a
you
really
that,
high
but
scoring game, yeah.
yeah,
Like
but
the upper echelon.
but
Yeah.
like I remember watching basketball back when the Pistons were a serious franchise, and games were like 98, 95. Something close like that, lower scoring, but not ridiculously low like you see in college. Um, but yeah, we need to figure out something that the sport can do to make defense actually important again. But I think it starts at trying to make players realize that there's more to the game than just individual stats. I think that's one of the biggest issues that the league has is players just thinking of only caring about their individual stats at the end of the night.
Yeah. It's definitely tough, man.
So yeah, I don't know what we can do to fix the NBA, but that's all I got. So moving away from NBA, we I saw an article today. The MLB's not looking to expand anytime soon. But ESPN did put out an article saying basically there's two cities that if the MLB were to expand to 32 teams, which they absolutely should, I have no idea why they haven't expanded in the last 25 years. I think it is however long Arizona's been in the league now. Um, uh, let's see, that was what?
98, I think.
Yeah,
98.
yeah, yeah. 98 when Tampa and Arizona both joined the league. Um, yeah, no, they absolutely need to expand the MLB. I think there's so much talent across the world. To the point where the MLB needs to expand again because um, I saw I think it was today some Korean pitcher, I can't remember who right now, is heading back to Korea to go and play.
Yeah, Ryu.
Yeah, yeah, he moved back to Korea to go and play. Um, but yeah, no. Anyway, so they this article kind of just talks about the history of MLB expansion and blah blah blah, and you know, but they said basically there's no way the MLB's expanding until the early 2030s at the earliest, and I think that's bullshit. The league needs to expand. I think everyone that's a baseball fan would agree the league needs to expand, just like the NBA does need to expand as well. Because what the NBA is also at 30 teams, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep. They need to expand to
and
32 as
and
well.
NBA needs to expand to 32. Baseball desperately needs it though because of how much talent there is. I mean, you compare baseball to the NBA. There's a lot more talent in the MLB than there is in the NBA. That said, so basically the two cities that they were looking at would be Nashville and Salt Lake City. Those are the two big names that this article mentions. Nashville and Salt Lake City, they're both they're the 26th and 27th largest sports markets in the country. Um, so from that aspect, they're prime locations, right? And they're both constantly very high up on the list on the U.S. fastest growing cities in terms of population growth and just marketability. So I would agree definitely with Nashville. Salt Lake City, I don't necessarily see as being a baseball town, but who thought Dallas would be a hockey city? So
Yeah.
um, I really like Nashville. I think Nashville definitely needs a team. Salt Lake City, I can see that working. Um, you know, there's some other cities that they mentioned like Orlando, I believe was on here, and Charlotte, which Orlando kind of makes sense in a way. Charlotte makes a lot of sense though. Um, but Salt Lake City, I really like. Well, I like it for the NHL. Baseball, I don't really know how well that would work out, but it could very well work out. Um, Nashville though, lot of it's a very popular sport in Tennessee in general. So I think for sure Nashville would work out. But Mike, your thoughts on this about MLB expansion? When you think they should expand, and these two cities that ESPN has kind of pointed out as being prime prospects for MLB expansion.
Yeah, I think those are all very strong candidates. Um, I think that Vegas, once Oakland moves to Vegas, it's definitely going to open up the possibility for more teams. Maybe they were just waiting for that to happen for them to finally pull the trigger. Because even like a relocation, I mean, I'm trying to think of the last time an MLB team even relocated. Um, it's definitely been a minute, man. So they definitely have the talent to expand out.
Yeah, I think you know expansion needs to happen, I don't know why Manfred is so against expanding right now, but the league needs to expand. I mean, there's so much talent, and the talent keeps getting better and better every single year. Um, and more and more players are going undrafted, and that's because and players that are capable of making it into the MLB or at least into the AAA leagues. Expansion is the only way to go to help these kids out and to you know maybe drum up some new interest in the league that's slowly killing itself if it doesn't expand. But yeah, outside of that, that's really all we got MLB wise. Spring training officially started today, and I know there's some games coming up. I believe actually starting tomorrow, maybe Thursday. I could be wrong. Um, but yeah, now let's get into some NFL. It's been a little while since we talked football since the Super Bowl review. So ESPN has an article. Best team fits for the top 50 players. That'll be free agents or pending free agents, whatever you want to call it. I'm not gonna go through all 50 players. I'm just gonna kind of give you the highlights, some of the more important players, and the teams that they think the best fit for them. So basically, I'm gonna give you whatever. You're gonna tell me if you like that fit, or if you don't like the fit, you think they should stay with their team, or if you think they shouldn't stay with the team, it should just be a different team. And I'll also give my thoughts on that. So the first one here that we're gonna uh, talk about is Kirk Cousins. They got him at number 3. They said the best team fits the Atlanta Falcons. What's your thoughts on this?
I agree. If Kirk Cousins were to leave, that's a perfect spot because they need a QB so bad. And Kirk Cousins is, I guess, one of the most stable QBs. Like, you know what you're going to get with Kirk Cousins. He's not going to blow you away. He's not going to be that Super Bowl winning quarterback, but he's also not going to be bad enough to where you're going to look to replace him. He's like kind of perfect for what they need right now while they develop some younger talent. Like, say they draft a Bo Nix, they could have Bo Nix sit behind Kirk Cousins for a year or two, learn under him. Cousins is like a 10-year veteran now, so I think that's actually pretty good. Have him there for a couple of years and just kind of have some stability for this Atlanta Falcons team.
Yeah, no, I like that fit a lot as well, but let's be honest here, the Falcons aren't gonna fucking sign him, mostly because the Falcons are the Falcons, and they're just gonna
Yeah.
find another quarterback that's terrible like Desmond Shitter, and you know give and then also waste Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson like they always do. That said, I think it would be a great fit if Kirk Cousins does decide to leave Minnesota here. Um, Another one leaving Minnesota would be Danielle Hunter. They say his best team fit would be the L.A. Rams.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know this guy too much. So, what position is he?
He's an edge rusher.
Edge rusher. Um, just looking at the Rams, yeah, they could use an edge rusher. Aaron Donald's getting older. Aaron Donald's could retire at any moment. Um, I think that's good, man. Yeah, because Rams could use an edge rusher.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very good fit. That said, I would really like to see him in a Honolulu Blue uniform next year, but no, I think the Rams is also a very good fit. Pair him up with Aaron Donald, man, that would be a very very lethal defensive line for sure. So I like that one a lot. Um, they have Mike Evans. Best team fit would be the Carolina Panthers.
Disagree. Why would Mike Evans leave to go to the Carolina Panthers? Like, I guess if he's like the biggest Bryce Young believer in the world, like that's like the only way I could see him going there. But why would you do that?
No, I don't see him going there simply because I don't think Bryce Young is going to be in the league in 2 or 3 years from now. I really don't. He is that bad, and he's a midget. So I mean, yeah, no, he can't play. Mike Evans would it would be a waste for Mike Evans to just leave Tampa Bay in general. I think, um, he might be losing Baker, and if he does lose Baker, then sure, go try and find a different team. But Carolina, no, absolutely not here. Um, let's see, they have let's see, so the Lions, they get the best player that they think would be a really good fit for them. We Kendall Fuller, a cornerback here. So what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, so I don't really know too much on the guy, but a corner, yeah, that's like one of our main needs right now. So that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, so Fuller isn't the greatest corner that's out there, but he's a pretty solid corner. I think it would be a very good pickup for the Lions. I think it would improve the secondary for sure. I mean, he can't be worse than Cam Sutton, right? So,
No.
no, and he's not he's not a top 10 corner, but he's somewhere around that 15 to 20 range, I think. So I think it would be a very good fit, especially for the Lions who desperately need a corner. But that said, I think the Lions really need to focus on an edge rusher first because if the quarterback doesn't have time to pass, you can have a Cam Sutton back there being garbage at covering someone, and it doesn't matter because the quarterback has to either get rid of it or is getting sacked. So, um, yeah, no, I like that because we definitely need a corner, but yeah, very very interesting for sure. Speaking of Lions, we'll go with a Lions player. They say Jonah Jackson to the Washington Commanders.
Damn, that sucked because I wouldn't want to see Jonah Jackson go, but I mean, yeah, Washington needs help on that offensive line.
Yeah, so the way I see guards is the way I see running backs. You don't pay them. They're a dime a dozen because there's a lot of good guards in college. You could get one in the third round, and I mean that's what Jonah Jackson was. He's a really good guard from the third round. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Guards are like running backs. They're extremely disposable. You don't fucking pay them. Plain and fucking simple there. I like the fit. I mean, Washington desperately needs a line, but they also need a quarterback. They also need every position on defense. That team's in shambles right now. But a pickup like Jonah Jackson, I think, would be very, very helpful for them. So yeah, they got Saquon Barkley, Houston Texans.
Uh man, I'd love to see CJ and Saquon together. That'd be awesome. I don't know if Houston really needs them, but it'd be fun to see.
Look, I'm gonna stick with the same things I said before. We do not pay running backs, but this isn't the Lions, so I don't care. Sure, it's a good fit. They definitely need help at that running back position, but um, yeah, if I was them, if anything, I'd probably try to re-sign Devin Singletary, but or at least just franchise tag him for the year and then worry about it later. Um, Another running back here. They have Derrick Henry, best team fit, the Baltimore Ravens.
Ooh. Again, another one. It's very similar to Saquon. I'd love to see Lamar and Derrick Henry, but do the Ravens really need Derrick Henry? Not really.
Well, think about it this way: J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards are both going to be free agents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're both not very good running backs, anyways. I mean, Lamar is your number one rusher. So getting a guy like Derrick Henry can, make Lamar not be your number one rusher, and that would actually open up a ton in their offense because, um, Lamar could do a lot more things offensively for them, but he's also a garbage quarterback. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a very good fit, scheme wise for Baltimore, but again, I don't see them trying to pay Derrick Henry the money that he wants. So, yeah. And then let's go over a couple more here. Jadeveon Clowney, best team fit, Miami Dolphins.
Mm, yeah, I mean, I think that's a solid fit for him right there. Miami could use another edge rusher and or another linebacker for sure.
Well, Miami needs just defensive players in general, but I think it starts with getting a good edge rusher. I think Clowney would be a good fit there. So yeah. Um, Another running back here, Tony Pollard, Washington Commanders.
Hmm. I think I'm gonna say the same thing as I have with all these running backs. I mean, it'd be all right, but Washington, I think, could use that money elsewhere. They could get a left tackle, go get an edge rusher. You just gave up your two best edge rushers in Chase Young and Montez Sweat over the trade deadline. So, um, what else? I mean, go get a QB. I mean, I know you're drafting, so you could probably get like Drake May, but say something happens where someone trades up and uh, Drake May gets taken, then what happens? Where do they go?
Yeah, I think it actually wouldn't be too bad of a fit. Um, there would be some yeah, my God, I cannot say that word right now. Familiarity with the head coach. Obviously, Dan Quinn coming from the Cowboys. So I think yeah, that would be a decent fit. I mean, they would definitely need a running back. The problem is you just don't pay running backs. I don't get why we pay running backs. They're such a disposable position. I mean, about 4 years and they're done anyways. So I mean, I don't see the point. Obviously, every few outliers that can last longer in the league, like a Derrick Henry, but I wouldn't fucking pay these running backs at all. Couple more here we'll go over. L'Jarius Sneed, cornerback. Best team fit would be Philadelphia Eagles.
Man, that'd be cool because I know that Hassan Reddick. Well, he claims that he didn't request a trade, but if something like that's even being reported, something must be going on. So he could be gone, and L'Jarius Sneed, he has that Super Bowl experience with the Chiefs. Go to the Eagles, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think that'd be a very good pickup for the Eagles. I don't want it to be for the Eagles. I would love for the Lions to come and pick him up, but I don't think he'd be a good fit just because of the culture and the kind of player that he is. I don't think Dan Campbell would like having a guy like Snead on his team. Um, but I think it would be a great fit, just scheme wise for the Lions. But I think, yeah, it'd be a good fit for Philly for sure. I mean, they desperately need corners. Um, but they need some other things too because, I mean, they had a apocalyptic collapse this year. They went to the Super Bowl last year, and then to just have the collapse that they did towards the end of the season this year, after starting off the season, I think 10-1. I mean that. I mean, yeah, that is. Yeah, they desperately need some help more than just at the corner position. They need pretty much help everywhere because something wasn't right there for sure towards the end of the season.
Yeah, for real.
So that is gonna do it though for us. Thursday we'll find some stuff to talk about for sure. I mean, I know the NHL trade deadline's coming up in a couple weeks here, so there's some moves that I could see being made that I might go out and try and talk about, see if I can find anything about any rumors of anyone getting moved. NBA wise, we're past the trade deadline. We're past the All Star game, so now it's just the final stretch to the playoffs. Still a ways to go though, for sure, in the season, both for the NBA and NHL. But we'll we'll obviously, of course, cover those. Baseball's getting started up here soon, so we'll get into that once that season gets started. So yeah, rate, review, subscribe, help us out. Let us know what more you want to see from us. Check out our YouTube page, of course, the Mike and Andrew Show. Um, and yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you guys on Thursday.